The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules blocking Governor J.B. Pritzker's COVID-19 mask mandate for schools, and that's a bipartisan, bicameral commission. They don't approve rules, they block them. And emergency rules that were filed this week after a Sangamon County judge issued a temporary restraining order against COVID-19 mask mandates in schools, saying that school districts need to govern themselves accordingly. Apparently, the governor filed an emergency rule this week, and JCAR took that up and blocked it. One of the members joining us here in studio is State Senator Don DeWitte, a Republican from the St. Charles area, right?
Good morning. That's correct.
Good morning and happy birthday.
Thank you very
little
much.
bird told me that it was your birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Another day older, deeper in debt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yesterday was a pretty big day. A lot of reaction so far all across the state, even school districts taking the vote as a sign that they can drop their mask mandate because there is no mask mandate in place.
At this point, that's correct. And even the appellate court yesterday issued a request from the attorneys involved in this litigation. They want the two attorneys involved in the current appeal before the appellate court to submit briefs on what they believe the decision JCAR made yesterday, what they believe, what effect that decision we made may have on this pending appellate appeal to stay the TRO.
So walk me through the thinking and some of the rationale behind the vote, because it was a bipartisan vote. Two members voted present. One member wasn't there, but it was a bipartisan vote to block this.
It really was. And I think it's probably indicative that even our friends across the aisle have probably heard just about enough from their constituents as well, that people feel that their rights have been violated. People feel that the one-man control that the governor has implemented with regards to the mask mandate process, we have always taken the position on the Senate Republican side that these decisions are local decisions. They need to be made with local school districts. They need to be made in homes where parents can actually have a decision as to how they choose to deal with this pandemic in schools. So greatly appreciative of our partners across the aisle. Look at Senator Cunningham, Representative Keith Wheeler, the co-chairs of JCAR, do a great job of maintaining a very bipartisan, very bicameral process at JCAR. Yesterday was another example.
So we've seen, of course, the past year plus of unilateral rule. This is kind of one of the last remaining issues of the governor dealing with COVID-19. And masks are, of course, a flashpoint. But this really seems to be about the exclusion of children from schools for being suspected close contact. Talk about how important it is to provide that clarity now to the school districts that want to drop all of this.
Well, we believe, first of all, that when the governor came out last week and announced that he intended to withdraw mandates for the general public effective February 28th or March 1st, however you look at it, that there was a real hypocrisy in the fact that he was keeping this mask mandate in place for schools. I think science, if we're going to follow the science, let's follow, Johns Hopkins University, who suggests that children are the least affected by the pandemic and the infection rates, and probably are a segment of the population that have the least to worry about with regards to catching this virus and becoming seriously ill from it. So, schools got picked on. Some would suggest that the governor was patronizing perhaps some of his union support on the teacher side of the equation. We believe that these decisions are finally in local government control, local school districts, parents in those districts that have chosen to go mask optional. Parents now get to make the decision how their children deal with this, and we think that's the right approach.
We're talking with State Senator Don DeWitte here in studio. He's a member of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. Their actions yesterday blocking the governor's emergency rule filed this week, despite a Sangamon County judge having a temporary restraining order in place, blocking school districts as part of the lawsuit from implementing this, but saying that it's a process that's null and void. Senator, I want to get your reaction to something that she wrote in her opinion about the bureaucratic maneuvering that the governor did, calling it a type of evil. We've seen 2 years almost now of these unilateral orders and the state legislature not really doing much. when it comes to individual due process rights, do you agree with that assessment that unilateral dictates is a type of evil that the law was meant to constrain?
Obviously, I don't. I mean, if the judge used the word evil in the opinion, I guess that's her subjective. She has the right to be able to do that. Look, do I think the mask mandates were evil? I don't think there was evil intent in this process.
But I think what she was alluding to was the bureaucratic maneuvering to get around the state legislature from actually changing the laws.
Understood, yeah. There has always been a question in the mask mandate process whether there was really any enforcement capability on the part of either the Department of Health or local school districts. Yesterday, the executive director for the Department of Health suggested that it's really up to the local county health departments to enforce these mandates that had been put in place. We never agreed with that issue, even though that's a broad umbrella of local approach. Republicans in the Senate have never argued about masks, whether they're helpful. We've never argued about vaccinations, whether they're helpful. What we have always felt was a problem was the unilateral decisions that one man was making, basically thumbing his nose at the legislative process, just like he tried to thumb his nose at the judicial process yesterday. There are three co-equal branches of government in this state, and those mandates that he has implemented for the last 2 years, I believe, disrespected the other two branches of the state's government.
And then finally here, ISB still has a list of schools they're looking at for non-recognition status. Right now, a lot of private schools on that list for having masks optional all year. Should they just drop this altogether?
I think that would probably be a wise decision. It's interesting that ISB chose not to engage with opinion, insight, anything yesterday regarding the Department of Health's reissuance or attempt to reissue the mask mandates in schools. ISB has a tough enough job trying to educate our kids every day. Teachers have had some of the toughest 2 years, I'm sure some of them in their entire careers. We believe it's time that this whole issue needs to go away. Like I mentioned earlier, it's silly to allow people to go about their lives, even children who are forced to wear masks in school, but then the minute they walk out, they take them off. They go to the mall, they go to the store, they go to the gym, they go to the playground, and then have to put them back on when they come back to school. It's time that this whole mask mandate evaporates, and we hope that the action we took yesterday will help implement that.
State Senator Don DeWitte, greatly appreciate you taking the time with us this morning. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the Capitol.
Great
all
to
right?
be back. Thank you.
It is the WMAY morning news feed, 8:31, and Jim Leach and David